Hey, everybody, it's the Aftershow. Welcome to it. I'm your host, Chris Johnston, just doing a solo Aftershow. Who would have thought this would ever happen in the how many years have we been doing this? 18? Oh, God. Years that we've been doing this show. I don't think I've ever done a solo show and probably made a bunch of cracks about how I would hate doing a solo show and I don't want to be a Major Nelson talking to himself. And yet here I am doing it for you, the listener, because you are a supporter of us at patreon.com/P1 podcast, or it's 2 years from now and you're listening to this on the free feed, in which case, what are you doing? Go support us on Patreon. But in case you don't know what this is, we just listened to the audio of the Sega E3 briefing, media briefing at E3 1999, and that I recorded on this year tape. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that media briefing. First of all, man, the guy next to me who was totally into everything Bernie was saying, how about that? Like, I just remember... I don't remember it being said, but when I listened to the audio, the "you tell him Bernie" just really stuck out to me as pretty hilarious. I wonder how stacked the audience was with Sega employees. I bet it was pretty stacked. But you can tell in this media briefing that Peter Moore is absolutely on fire. Everything, his presentation style was very natural, but also very enthusiastic. And man, he's really getting you pumped up for the launch of the Dreamcast, huh? This was, Peter Moore wasn't a name at the time that, any of us knew, but you can look at his later appearances in consumer-based shows and E3 presentations, and you really kind of see that style that he had. Very energetic, very, all about the brand, the games. You wanted him to win, right? Like, he was the biggest cheerleader for the brand, and that was pretty fantastic. So, I thought it was interesting that they mentioned rebuilding retail relationships. Obviously, this is after the failure of the Saturn, and a lot of that was put on that early release, that early launch into only a few retailers, right? And that pissed everybody off. So winning back retail was like top of the list for them, right? And also getting back third parties. Now, notice they didn't talk about EA at all. They talked about Sega Sports and rebuilding that brand. Obviously, Sega never got EA back for the Dreamcast, but pretty interesting. And the guarantee that they'd win back the heart of the consumer, it's really a great presentation for that, I think, at the time. And for us in the media, I think we believed it. You go back and you look at EGM's coverage of the Dreamcast and Sega, and we did the cover about 9/9/99 being the biggest launch date in video game history, entertainment history, and it was big for us. We were, all the editors were super excited about the Dreamcast and the lineup, and fully invested in all of those games, especially Soul Calibur, which was a big hit at the office. No surprise there to anyone, I'm sure. But we also really loved online gaming. I loved online gaming. I loved the idea that consoles were going to be online because I had gotten, a small taste of that type of thing with playing Doom and Duke Nukem on the Mac. Which, okay, not a great online experience, but having played that stuff and being able to play against real people, I was super excited about that. I think I wooed, you can hear me woo when they announced that the modem would be packed in. And I was super excited about that. So yeah, they went down their marketing budget, $200 million in marketing for North America and Europe. That's pretty big. I don't know if that all, I'm sure that all got spent. The MTV Video Music Awards thing was big, even though I think MTV at that time was phasing out playing music videos, if I remember correctly. But that was a cool moment. 100 companies worldwide making software, and they talked about Power Stone from Capcom. They talked about a Castlevania game from Konami, which never ended up being shipped and was later canceled in 2000. I believe someone actually resurrected that, and you can play the demo that was available for play at E3 99. Now, it's on the internet somewhere, so you can check that out if you know where to look. But also, yeah, Sega's big names, Yuji Naka, Tetsuya Mizuguchi, Yu Suzuki, on show here. And Shenmue, a big thing. Like, I don't exactly remember what was shown at the E3 press conference, but I do remember on the floor of E3, a big thing was the kiosks showing off Shenmue, showed off the facial animation and motion capture of the characters. That was the big thing with Shenmue. Like, you've never seen human emotion expressed this way in a video game, and this was huge. And they had, a whole kiosk set for that. And you can see that there is footage. I think I was saying that this press conference I couldn't find on YouTube. Don't know if video exists of it, so that's part of why I uploaded it as an episode when Greg and Phil weren't around. But you can find footage, plenty of footage, really, of the E3 show floor in '99, including Sega's booth. And you can see those Shenmue face animation demos there as well, which is pretty cool. Of course, Shenmue as a franchise, we only ever got the 1 on the Dreamcast in the US, and then we got 2 on the Xbox, and 3 obviously came out in the PS4 generation, and we got the anime series. So it's funny to kind of see the seeds of that 25 years ago with Yu Suzuki. But another interesting thing that was Bernie Stoller talking about the feedback from fans. And it's funny to kind of look back at this because the console war is raging now, but it's important to remember that there was always this type of discussion, right? And you have people emailing Bernie Stoller saying, "Don't be like Sony." And I also find it funny that he bragged about 4,000 consumer emails pouring in. I mean, if this was today, it would be insane, right? Like, you'd have many more social media posts or emails coming through. But don't be like Sony, and please include the modem, I thought were great little moments in here. But I think one thing you see very clearly in this presentation is that even though they decided to include the modem, they really didn't have like a great story outside of play Sega Rally 2 with 4 players networked. They had a sort of very vague, our website will do everything. You as a player will be able to build your own website. There's chat, email, e-commerce, browsing, real-time sports scores. Okay. Game hints, national scoreboards. Like, I really kind of don't think they knew what they were doing with that. And they saw this sort of internet buzzword. I mean, obviously the .com boom was already happening, but they kind of wanted it to be a little bit of everything. It didn't seem like they knew what they were doing. It didn't seem like they had a clear message, especially to gamers, what this was going to do for them out of the box. And, later on, I think that became more clear. But yeah, you're talking Sega Rally 2 being the only game that they really mentioned for that was interesting. And they did talk about that Turbine Entertainment game, Frontier. I don't remember if they were showing footage of it. while he was talking. They didn't have a trailer or anything like that, but I had completely forgotten about this game. Yeah, I think it's much like Black and White, Peter Molyneux's Black and White from the previous year, where it was sort of like just a big thing, like bringing it from the PC to the console. And there was, this big push for MMOs. This is before, I think it's before World of Warcraft. Really interesting. And the Baldur's Gate announcement gets a lot of claps, huh? I wouldn't have expected that. I thought that was interesting. Maybe it's from Interplay people in the audience, but Baldur's Gate wasn't a big console franchise at that point. Big on PC, perhaps. And of course, now Baldur's Gate 3, one of the biggest games out there from last year. But I was surprised at the amount of clapping it got. I think at the time I was surprised too, because I was primarily a console gamer. I was not a PC gamer back in the day, and I didn't really know anything about Baldur's Gate. So, and I'm not even sure that this came out. This Baldur's Gate game from Interplay. Oh, another thing they talked about was board, puzzle, and card games. Very general, like, did they not know what was going to be coming out for the Dreamcast? I don't even know if those things happened. But yeah, very interesting that they talked about the number of pre-orders that had already been placed for the Dreamcast at this point, 76,000, and they wanted in excess of 200,000 by the launch. I'm not sure if that happened. I need to look that up. But the Star Wars movie that they were talking about in the 60-second spot before Star Wars, that was episode 1. This is the episode 1 summer. So this is the E3 where episode 1 Racer was a big thing for the N64. And yeah, so that's where people would be seeing Dreamcast ads. And that would be pretty big, I think. I don't know if it helped them, but another interesting, just overall thing that I wanted to mention is that the age of video game players that they were going after. It's interesting to me that Peter Moore says 12 to 24-year-old males. And when you think about the industry at this time, like the industry in the mid 90s and late 90s was changing from being primarily a toy industry or very like a knockoff of the consumer electronics industry to being its own thing. And 12 to 24-year-olds were the biggest market, right? And to me, I read that or I hear that, and it sounds like it's still a toy industry, right? Although I was 22 at the time, so I was right in that sweet spot. But fast forward 10 years on from this, and we're talking about 18 to 35-year-old males. So being the target market for video games. So it kind of aged up with people who were 12 to 24 around 1999. But yeah, 12 to 24, to me, that still says it's a toy. Maybe it was on the cusp of becoming something else. And I think PS2, especially the launch of the PlayStation 2 and the launch of the Xbox, you can really kind of see them getting away from the 12 to 24-year-old male and kind of going for the 18 to 34. Yeah. The other thing I thought that was really interesting is Bernie's introductions of the Japanese executives that were there and supporting them. Obviously, the relationship between Sega of America and Sega of Japan got very contentious, and Peter Moore has said so in interviews and such. And just very interesting that all of the people who were there got a shout out. So anyway, I'm going to tease next week a little bit for you patrons. So yeah, I have 2 cassettes here that I didn't know what was on them, and now I do. And one of them said Miyamoto Q&A. And I was very disappointed to find out that there is no Miyamoto Q&A on this tape. Well, there kind of is, but I had taped over it. So I have an interview with Gary Kitchen, who is, old school Activision from the 2600 days, and then Absolute Entertainment doing Battle Tank, Super Battle Tank. And then this particular audio interview was for a sort of Where Are They Now thing that was in EGM in 1998. So the interview that I did with him is, older than this Sega E3 press conference. And it was because Gary was working on the Candy Stand, which is a web-based gaming platform. So anyway, talked to him about that. And at the end of that, there is like a very short segment that is the ending of my Miyamoto Q&A. So maybe we'll get some of that audio in there as well. We'll have to see. But anyway, thank you very much for supporting the show. Patreon.com/P1 podcast. And hopefully you enjoyed this week's Sega press conference audio. Let me know if you did or didn't. Either way, I don't have many of these audio things left to go. It's just really the one more thing for next week. But let me know if you enjoyed it, and hope everybody out there in Radio Land is safe and well. Hope your family, friends, loved ones are safe and well as well. And we will talk at you again next week.